If you found your way to these words right now, maybe there is a reason you stopped for a moment. Maybe you were simply scrolling without expecting anything meaningful. Maybe something inside you told you to pause. Maybe you have been thinking about someone you cannot quite explain, someone whose name seems to appear in your thoughts at the most unexpected times. Or maybe there is a particular person who has been quietly occupying a corner of your heart, even when you have tried to focus on everything else. And perhaps you have been wondering, do they think about me too? Do they feel the same strange connection? Why do I keep thinking about them? Could this person really be someone important in my life? There are questions the heart asks long before the mind knows how to answer them. Sometimes a connection does not arrive with a dramatic announcement. It begins quietly. A conversation lasts a little longer than expected. A familiar name suddenly feels different. A simple memory stays with you for hours. A person says something ordinary, but somehow the words remain in your mind long after the conversation ends. And then there are those moments when something changes. Not necessarily in the outside world. Sometimes the change happens inside you. Something becomes clearer. Something you were avoiding becomes impossible to ignore. Something you thought you had moved beyond suddenly returns to your thoughts. And tonight, perhaps the biggest thing that happened is not something mysterious or impossible. Perhaps it is simply this. Someone realized how much you matter. Maybe they have been thinking about you. Maybe they have been replaying conversations in their mind. Maybe they have realized that their feelings are more meaningful than they originally admitted. Maybe they have been wondering whether they should finally say what has been sitting quietly inside their heart, and if you have been waiting for a sign that says, "Your feelings matter," let this be a gentle reminder, you deserve honesty. You deserve kindness. You deserve a connection that does not require you to constantly guess where you stand. The strongest connections are not built from confusion, they are built from trust, they are built from conversations. They are built from two people choosing to understand each other. So if this message feels as though it is speaking directly to your heart, take a breath and read slowly. You do not have to force anything. You do not have to chase anyone. You do not have to convince someone to care. You do not have to turn every coincidence into a prediction. You simply have to listen to what your heart is telling you while allowing reality to show you what is true. And maybe the truth is beautiful. Maybe someone really has been thinking about you. Maybe someone has realized that your presence means more than they expected. Maybe someone has been gathering the courage to be more honest. Maybe the huge thing that happened was a realization. I don't want to take this person for granted. That realization can change everything. Something happened in the quiet. There are moments when people understand something about their feelings without knowing exactly when the realization happened. It can happen while listening to music. It can happen while looking through old messages. It can happen after an ordinary conversation. It can happen when something reminds them of you. It can happen when they realize that they have been searching for your name, waiting for your message, remembering your jokes, or wondering how your day went, and suddenly they think, why does this person matter to me so much? That question can be surprisingly powerful. because sometimes we do not realize the importance of someone until we imagine their absence, not because losing someone is inevitable, not because you should be afraid, but because distance can make us recognize what closeness allowed us to overlook. Maybe this person has started noticing the little things about you, the way you express yourself, the way you react when something makes you happy, the way you care about people, the way you become excited about something you love, the way you can make an ordinary moment feel memorable. Sometimes attraction begins with appearance, but meaningful affection grows through character. Someone may notice your smile first, but they stay because they discover your kindness. They may remember your voice, but they become attached to the feeling of being understood. They may enjoy talking with you, but eventually, they realize that conversations with you feel different. There is comfort, there is curiosity, there is trust. There is something they cannot quite summarize in a single sentence, and that is often how meaningful connections grow, not like lightning, more like sunrise, slowly, quietly, until one day you realize the entire sky has changed. Please open this right now. Imagine those words not as a supernatural command, but as a heartfelt expression of urgency. Someone has something they want you to understand, something they have been carrying, something they have been afraid to say. Maybe they want you to know that your presence has mattered. Maybe they want to apologize for being distant. Maybe they want to explain why they seemed uncertain. Maybe they want another chance to communicate. Maybe they simply want you to know that they remember you. Sometimes the most meaningful words are not, "I have loved you forever." Sometimes they are, "I should have told you sooner that you matter to me." There is a difference between fantasy and genuine connection. Fantasy tells us exactly what another person feels without ever asking them. Reality gives us something better, the opportunity to communicate. If someone truly cares, their actions eventually begin to support their words. They make an effort. They listen. They respect boundaries. They show consistency. They do not expect you to read their mind. They do not make you prove your worth. They do not keep you trapped in endless uncertainty. A meaningful connection should give you room to breathe. It should allow you to be yourself. It should not make you feel as though you have to become someone else to deserve affection. So if there is someone on your mind right now, remember this. You do not need to become perfect to be worthy of love. You are allowed to be learning. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to have complicated feelings. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to discover what you want, and the right people will respect that. The moment everything became clear, perhaps the person you are thinking about had a moment tonight. Maybe it was small. Maybe it was something that would look insignificant to anyone else, but to them, it meant something. They might have seen something that reminded them of you. They might have heard a song. They might have opened an old conversation. They might have remembered a day when you made them laugh. They might have realized how much they missed talking to you, and for a moment, they stopped. They thought about you, not as an idea, not as a fantasy, but as a real person with real feelings. They wondered how you were doing. They wondered whether you were smiling. They wondered whether you ever thought about them too. And perhaps they finally understood something. connections are valuable because they are shared between real people, not because they are perfect stories. Maybe that realization encouraged them to become more honest. Maybe they decided they should stop assuming that you already knew how they felt. Maybe they realized that silence does not always protect people. Sometimes silence simply leaves two people guessing, and sometimes one honest conversation can change the direction of a relationship, not because every conversation creates a perfect ending, but because honesty creates clarity. If this person is truly important to you, then do not measure the connection only by butterflies. Measure it by respect. Measure it by trust. Measure it by how comfortable you feel being yourself. Measure it by whether you can talk openly. Measure it by whether you feel heard. Measure it by whether the other person respects your boundaries. Measure it by whether their behavior matches their promises. Those things matter more than dramatic signs. A soulmate-style connection does not have to mean that there is literally one predetermined person somewhere in the world who is mathematically destined for you. Sometimes soulmate is simply a beautiful word for someone with whom you develop an unusually meaningful bond. Someone who understands parts of you. Someone who challenges you to grow. Someone who makes ordinary experiences memorable. Someone who respects who you are. Someone whose presence brings warmth rather than constant uncertainty. And sometimes people become important to us for a season rather than forever. That does not make the connection meaningless. A person can teach you something important without remaining in your life forever. A conversation can change you without becoming a lifelong relationship. A friendship can become a treasured memory. A first crush can help you understand what you value. A meaningful connection can matter even if its future is still unknown. That is part of what makes human relationships so powerful. We cannot always know where they will lead. We can only choose to treat each other with honesty and care. Maybe they have been thinking about you more than you know. People often hide feelings because they are uncertain. They wonder, what if I say something and make things awkward? What if they don't feel the same? What if I misunderstood everything? What if I wait too long? These questions can create silence, and silence can look like indifference even when someone actually cares. That is why communication matters. If someone wants to be closer to you, they should eventually find a healthy way to express that. You should not have to decode every social media post. You should not have to interpret every song lyric. You should not have to search endlessly for hidden meanings. You should not have to wonder whether every coincidence is a cosmic message. Sometimes the clearest sign is simply a person saying, "I care about you," and then showing it. That is the kind of connection worth believing in. The message behind the message. Maybe the deepest message here is not about predicting what another person will do. Maybe it is about remembering your own value. You deserve people who appreciate your presence. You deserve relationships where communication is mutual. You deserve people who can say what they mean. You deserve friendships and connections that make you feel safe being yourself. You deserve affection without manipulation. You deserve kindness without having to earn it. You deserve to be respected even when you disagree. You deserve people who can celebrate your happiness instead of becoming threatened by it. and you deserve enough confidence to walk away from situations that repeatedly make you feel small. That is something worth remembering tonight, because sometimes we become so focused on whether someone chooses us that we forget to ask, do I genuinely feel good around this person? That question matters. Love is not only about being wanted, it is also about being treated well. It is not only about chemistry, it is about character. It is not only about intense emotions, it is about trust. It is not only about exciting moments, it is about how someone treats you when nothing exciting is happening. If their heart could speak honestly, perhaps their message would sound something like this. I don't know exactly how to explain what changed, but something became clearer to me. I started thinking about the little moments, the conversations, the laughter, the times you were there when I needed someone, the way you made ordinary moments feel different. And I realized that I had been taking those moments for granted. Maybe I was afraid to admit how much I cared. Maybe I didn't know what to call the feeling. Maybe I thought there would always be more time. But tonight, I understood something. People who matter should not be treated like they will always be there automatically. If someone means something to you, you should let them know. So I want you to know that I appreciate you. I appreciate the person you are. I appreciate the moments we have shared. I appreciate the things about you that you may not even realize are special. I don't want you to think you have to change to be worthy of care. I don't want you to feel like you have to chase me. I don't want you to wonder whether your existence matters. It does. And if we are meant to become closer, I want that closeness to be built on honesty, not games, not guessing, not pressure, not pretending, just two people being genuine with each other and discovering what happens next. Maybe that is the kind of message your heart has been waiting for, not a promise about the future, a promise of honesty in the present. Something huge happened just minutes ago. Maybe the huge thing was simply a decision to stop hiding behind uncertainty, a decision to communicate, a decision to appreciate someone, a decision to forgive, a decision to let go of something unhealthy. A decision to stop chasing what does not feel mutual, a decision to recognize that a meaningful connection deserves respect. Sometimes life-changing moments are surprisingly quiet. There may be no dramatic announcement, no movie-style scene, no perfect timing. Sometimes the biggest moment is a private realization. I know what I need to do now. That realization can happen in seconds, and from that second forward, everything can feel different. Maybe someone decides to send a message. Maybe someone decides to apologize. Maybe someone decides to be brave. Maybe someone decides to stop pretending they do not care. Maybe someone decides to give another person the respect and honesty they deserve. Whatever the decision is, the important part is that it should lead towards something healthy. You are not required to chase a sign. If you are reading this and thinking about someone, you do not need to chase them tonight. You do not need to send 10 messages. You do not need to make yourself constantly available. You do not need to prove that you care more. You do not need to compete with anyone. You do not need to change your personality. You do not need to become someone else's idea of perfection. Let relationships unfold naturally. If there is genuine interest, there will be opportunities to communicate. If there is mutual care, effort will become visible. If there is trust, it will grow through consistent behavior. And if something does not work out, that does not mean you were not worthy. Sometimes two good people simply are not right for each other at a particular moment. That can hurt, but it does not diminish your value. The person who truly values you, will not make you feel like a puzzle they enjoy keeping unsolved. They will not deliberately create confusion just to keep you interested. They will not demand that you prove your feelings. They will not pressure you into doing things you are uncomfortable with. They will not make affection conditional on obedience. They will not isolate you from people who care about you. Instead, they will respect your individuality. They will want to know what you think. They will listen when you speak. They will accept no. They will understand that trust takes time. They will appreciate your friendships and your life outside the connection. They will want you to grow, and they will understand that caring about someone means caring about their well-being, not possessing them. That is much more meaningful than any dramatic declaration. Maybe tonight is about hope. Hope is not the same thing as certainty. Hope says, something beautiful could happen. Certainty says, I already know exactly what will happen. It is okay to have hope without pretending to know the future. You can hope someone cares. You can hope a friendship grows. You can hope a conversation goes well. You can hope someone understands you. You can hope that the future brings meaningful relationships. But you can also remain grounded. You can let people show you who they are. You can listen to their words. You can watch their actions. You can take your time. You can allow reality to surprise you. That balance is powerful. It allows your heart to stay open without surrendering your judgment. If you have been waiting for a message, maybe you have been checking your phone, maybe you have wondered why someone has not written, maybe you have imagined what their message might say. Maybe you have replayed the last conversation. If so, remember something important. Your worth does not increase when someone messages you, and your worth does not decrease when they do not. A notification is not a measurement of your importance. Someone's response time does not define your value. Their uncertainty does not make you unworthy. Their decision does not determine whether you are lovable. You are a complete person beyond any single relationship. You have your own dreams, your own interests, your own friendships, your own future, your own reasons to smile. Someone can become an important part of your story without becoming the entire story, and that is a beautiful thing. The soulmate message. If soulmate is the word that describes what your heart is searching for, then perhaps the most meaningful soulmate message is not, someone is magically destined to arrive. Maybe it is, build connections with people who recognize your humanity. Find people who appreciate your real personality, people who can laugh with you, people who encourage you, people who can apologize, people who can communicate, people who do not make you afraid to be honest, people who respect your boundaries, people who can disagree without being cruel, people who are happy to see you become stronger and more confident. That is the kind of bond worth protecting. A soulmate-style connection should not make you disappear into another person. It should help both people become more fully themselves. Maybe they remember the small things, Sometimes the details that seem insignificant to you become the details someone else remembers. A joke you made, a thoughtful question, a moment when you listened, a time you encouraged them, a conversation about something you love, a silly memory, a shared laugh, a moment when you were simply yourself. You may have forgotten it, they may not have. That is one of the beautiful things about human connection. We do not always know which moments become meaningful to someone else. A simple kindness can stay with a person for years. A few encouraging words can matter on a difficult day. A small gesture can become a treasured memory, so never underestimate the value of genuine kindness. You do not need grand gestures to matter. Sometimes being sincere is enough. If something changed tonight, let that change be a healthy one. Let it bring clarity rather than confusion. Let it encourage honesty rather than games. Let it remind you to appreciate people while they are part of your life. Let it help you recognize relationships that feel supportive. Let it give you courage to communicate respectfully. Let it teach you not to settle for treatment that repeatedly hurts you. And if the person you are thinking about truly cares, let them demonstrate it through their choices. Words can be beautiful, actions make them believable. There is no need to rush. Some connections take time. Two people may need months to understand each other. Friendship may come before deeper feelings.